and set us free. Riders on the prairie, wild and free. Bows and arrows, cold 45's decree. No more tyranny, no more lies. Under open skies we rise. Fight, fight, fight till we reclaim the night. Cowboys and Indians in the blazing light. Fight, fight, fight till the dawn is near. We'll never live in fear. On the blood moon, we all unite. Horse hooves thunder in the night. No longer slaves to the empire's might. Strength in numbers, strength in rise. On the blood moon, we unite. Horse hooves thunder in the night.
What's going on, my fellow tribe of patriots? I figured I'd go live and tell the story about how I broke my hand, even though it's really dumb, kind of embarrassing. It's one of those things that you don't really expect to happen, and all of a sudden you're out of work for weeks, maybe months. As most of you guys know, my job is to change industrial tires, and I work that probably 50 hours a week now that I've cut my hours down, so I'm able to do the podcast and everything. So yeah, roughly 50 hours a week is generally what I try to aim for. And I was informed shortly after I broke my hand. I went to the hospital, or the ER, and basically told them that, or told my boss that, like, hey, I broke my hand. And they're like, well, there's no positions available for you. So, I guess we'll see you in a month or two, whenever your hand heals. So I'm not technically fired from my job, but I am, off the schedule until I can work again, because that's just the way it is, I guess. But luckily I've been doing other things, trying to stream, trying to podcast, and, help create a podcast network. And I figured that during this downtime, I can create more content, even though like I got to use the mouse left-handed and everything. So I've been trying to set the computer up, and typing one-handed is it makes me feel like a boomer, because I'm just doing it incredibly slow. But, yeah, so I'll tell you guys the story, the very boring and embarrassing story. And somehow I broke my hand, because let's see, it started on Saturday when I was at home, and my dogs were out back in the kennel area, and I went to go let them out. Very mundane task, very boring, very, like, nothing exciting. Well, one of my dogs is a husky, and he likes to run off. We lost him for over a week last year, so now he has a harness, and we keep him on a leash. So I hooked him up to the leash, and I told all the dogs to go. And as they ran out, I realized that the husky was running with him. So I locked the leash, and as I locked the leash, it wrapped around my hand. It went, like, the leash went in between my fingers, and I didn't realize that at the time, because it was, a split second. But he got about 10 feet at full sprint, 90-pound dog, and I pulled to stop him, and so he couldn't, build momentum and, like, pull me over or anything. But I went to go stop him, and as soon as it tightened, the leash somehow, with the way it wrapped around my hand, all that pressure went on my metacarpal here, and that actually was enough to snap my hand. It's not great, but I'll show you guys a picture here. So if you can see here, this is my fourth metacarpal, or my ring finger metacarpal, the part that goes down from your knuckle to your wrist. And so there's two fractures here. It's like there's one here and then one here. So it's like a V. It broke in such a weird way. But I guess it's like a... Yeah. it's such a odd way to break your hand, but I immediately I kind of knew. I was like, oh shoot, something's definitely wrong here. And I ended up going to the ER because, I mean, there's wasn't much that I could do. I realized that, you know, I couldn't move my hand very much, and anytime I did move my fingers, it was popping and things were sliding around. So I was like, well, I don't want to do any ligament damage. Went to the doctor, and then they put me in a stupid splint here. So this is what I got for now. I got an appointment with the orthopedic surgeon on Thursday, to figure out if I'm going to need surgery or not. I don't know why I would need surgery, but I guess if the bone is broken like that, you know, I'm not a hand expert. I just don't know. It's just one of those things where I just don't know. So as far as money goes, because, you know, I encourage people. I mean, one of the things that I've always talked about is you know, having a stay-at-home wife, and you know, like I'm proud to be the sole provider and everything, and you know, this is one of the downfalls, and what everybody warns about. There's no backstop here. There's nothing you can really fall back on in order to you know, in case of an emergency, so you don't lose everything. And I'm not really afraid of losing everything, but we did start, or one of my followers did start a Give, Send, Go for me, and I do appreciate that. I linked it, well, I guess on my X page, not on Twitch or YouTube, but I will update those. But there is a Give, Send, Go available if you guys wanted to help out. And I'm not really sure how to, I guess, navigate this apart from, well, I can just start doing more content online while I'm you know, injured. And I know that it would probably be good for people to see, you know, the journey of learning how to shoot left-handed, because that's I mean, it's already been fun. I had to go get an ambidextrous holster, and basically everything I do with my right hand, it's with the left. But you know, it's important to be able to do both, because especially if there's one, if one hand gets hurt, you know, in the middle of a situation, like you can see just yesterday, there's this big video going around where a woman tried to throw a flashbang back to the police, and she like blew off part of her hand. So if one of your hands gets incapacitated while you're out doing whatever you're doing, it's always good to still have skills and availability to use your other hand to shoot. So yeah, thanks, Gorilla. And you know, I mean, still going to be doing the podcast on the regular, but you know, there's a lot of people that just stream all the time. So maybe I'll start streaming more, and we can kind of go through, you know, some of the news that breaks down throughout the day, because I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I would like to cover that I just am not able to, as far as you know, the podcast goes, because with only doing the podcast for an hour, a couple times a week, it is what it is. Thank you guys for reposting the stream. I really appreciate it. And tuning in. Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. Where I already have a couple things planned and in mind, so of what to go over, and I think it'll work out good. It's just, I'm going to have the help of my wife and maybe PNW Gorilla, you know, as we kind of navigate this stuff, because you know, it's not as easy with one hand, and something nobody thinks about with losing your dominant hand is, I mean, very basic things, just like putting on shoes or your pants, or you know, even wiping yourself. That's a little bit different. Sorry to be too graphic there, but you know, it's just, it is what it is. There's all the stuff that you kind of take for granted and do throughout the day. You know, everything has to shift and change, and it's not the worst thing in the world, right? Breaking your hand it's not the end all be all of, you know, but with it being my dominant hand and with me having a physical job, it's definitely an adversity that I didn't expect to go through, because yeah, exactly. Well, shit. Oh, yeah, it's an adversity that I didn't really expect to have to go through. And with a couple of events already planned this year going on, we got CPAC coming up in I think March or May. I don't remember. I think it's March. But CPAC, I'm going to be gone for a week down in Texas, and it looks like I'm already going to have to use up my 2 weeks of vacation, which is all I have. So, yeah, it is. Tina, thank you. Says, I hope everybody watching will subscribe to your channel if they haven't already. Yes, subscribing does help. That is one of the big ways where, it's an income that will help out significantly. Because, I mean, it is what it is. Not easy with one hand. Is what you hope, she says. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. I'm going to make the best of it. And, this could be one of those things where I'm a fairly optimistic person by nature. And I do believe that everything happens for a reason. So I'm hoping that, this kind of opens a door that maybe wasn't available if I was working full time still. Because, when God closes the door, but he opens the window is what the saying says, right? But you kind of have to have your eyes open to the opportunities presented and that are available to you during that time. So I'm hoping that something good comes of this, because definitely unexpected. And, the only bones I've ever broken in my entire life have been my hands. It's been my fingers and it's been my hands. I've broken my middle metacarpal before in like 8th grade when I was playing baseball and I dove for a ball and I stuck my hand out, and apparently the impact, it broke my metacarpal. So it's not the first time I've broken my hand. It's the first time I've broken this bone in particular. But the only time, yes, Nero, I did explain what happened earlier in the stream, but I can go over it again really quick, because it is so stupid. It is the dumbest way to break your hand possible. I literally went to go let my dogs out. I told him to run. I had the leash in my hand, and it wrapped around, like as the dog passed me, it wrapped around my hand in between my fingers, and I went to go pull as he stopped, and the tension from the leash tightening up and the dog stopping and me pulling against it, with the leash wrapping around in between my fingers, it just snapped my hand. It's such a stupid way to break your hand. There's like, you can't, I mean, what I could have done differently is just what I normally do is I have the leash, because we have one of those extendable leashes that you can like click and stop. Right. So normally I let the 2 dogs, my 2 shepherds who listen all the time, they're great dogs. I usually let them out, and then I walk out my husky, and then I'll let him go, once we get outside. But this time I let them all out at once. It wrapped my hand in a weird way, and I went to go pull, and it just snapped my hand. So, hooray. It's so dumb. Oh, and my wife, I pulled the husky back, Balto, and I put him back in the kennel, and I was like, oh, son of a... And of course, she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I think he broke my hand. Like, it's, it was popping, and it was already starting to swell, and I was like, shit. We need a better cover story than that. I don't know what to tell you, man. There was a cougar outside, and he went to go get my dog, and so I punched the cougar in the face, and that's how it broke. Yeah, that takes talent. It's a special way to break your hand. Oh. Tried to walk out my husky, but she's too big to fit through the door. She gained weight since our first kids. Yeah, I mean, so our husky, he's at least 90 pounds. Like, he's no slouch. He's he kind of listens, but he always will just wander off, and then he'll keep wandering. So we have him in a harness, and then like when we take him outside, he's the only one that's on a leash. I have a couple acres, and my two shepherds, I've never had to put them on leashes because I mean I could literally just go for a walk down the road, or a bike ride, and my two dogs will stay right next to me, and they're like, it was easy to train them. For some reason, this husky, Balto, I cannot train him. he just like, I'll train him to the point where I think he's good, and he listens, and he'll come to me every time. He'll stop, he'll sit, but as soon as he's off leash, like he'll listen for a little bit, but then he'll just start wandering, and then he just doesn't come. Like I'll call for him, and he'll hear me, but then he just doesn't care. He's like, "Nah, I want to go this way. I want to go smell these things." So he has to be on a leash, and so I love Balto. He's a great dog, and he's hilarious. He's very vocal. He's amazing, but he does not listen worth a shit. And we lost him last year for a week. He had disappeared and ran away, and so now he's just on a harness and a leash every time we take him out, and apparently that led to me breaking my hand. Yeah, huskies are stubborn, man. He's a good dog. It's just he just doesn't listen when it comes down to it. Like I assumed that, like with my first two dogs, my first shepherds, right? They know where home is. They know where the food is. They listen very well. They're always around. They're always concerned about like what you're doing, right? Like whenever I have parties here, I literally just let the dogs out, and they're just around the party for all night. Because we'll have like the 4th of July parties or my Halloween birthday parties. People will be in and out of the house the entire night, till 4 a.m. And the dogs are just around. They just hang out outside, and then towards when everybody goes back inside, they'll come back inside with us. But with my husky, I just can't do that. I just can't let him run around because he'll just wander off and then just keep wandering. And then either he gets lost and doesn't know how to come back, or he just keeps smelling new things and wants to keep exploring. So took a picture of your x-ray, and I'll be praying for healing over you, Chief. You got this. Keep an open mind. There are no coincidences. I agree. I really think that everything happens for a reason. My wife, she's actually got a tattoo on her back down her spine. It says everything happens for a reason, and it's one of the main beliefs that I stick to and try and keep a positive and open mind about it. And I do have a couple more photos of the break, but the one that I posted online is the best one that I can see. Let's see. I wonder if I can. Our sponsor would be Comfy Compresses and Prayer for sure. Yeah, with the splint, they don't want me to move. I released my two fingers here because I was getting incredibly irritated. They initially wrapped all my 4 fingers up and just left my thumb out. And I was like, I'm not gonna do that. That's ridiculous. So I initially just released this one finger, but since the splint is on the bottom and all the wrap is here, it pulls, all the pressure is being pulled down into the splint itself. So in order to alleviate some pressure on my hand itself, I released these 2 fingers. So yeah, I don't know. Doctor said wrap them all up. I said no. So I don't know. Seemed like a good idea at the time, and it seems to have worked out so far. Although, whenever I do try to use my hand at all, like I can wiggle these 2 fingers independently, but if I'm actually like trying to grab something and I use this hand at all, and I try to use these fingers on accident to pull something, that's when I get reminded really easily that that yeah, my hand is definitely broken. I'm going to upload the other 3 or the other positions for the x-ray. See if that works out. Oh, see, can't use the mouse. I do have a fun story about. I'll show you. Okay, so on this X-ray, you can see this one here. Okay, so the break is down here at the bottom. You can see where it's split, which is crazy to think. But you can also see up here on my finger, this is a healed fracture up here. This is a fun story. Again, it was also pretty stupid. So I was at the gym, and I was doing dumbbell presses, but I was doing a drop set. So I had weights down at my feet too. So I was laying doing dumbbell presses. I went to go set the dumbbells down, and my ring finger got pinched in between the dumbbell and the other dumbbell, and it literally exploded like the end of a hot dog does if you keep it in the microwave for too long. It just popped my finger out, which was nasty. And I remember going to the front desk after I like wrapped it up, and I was like, hey, do you guys have any nurses here or anything like that? And they're like, not really, but the lady at the front desk was like, I'm training to be a medical assistant or a nurse, something like that. I don't remember. This was a long time ago. But I like let it go, and like the skin on my fingers started to fall down because there was nothing on the end holding it. So the skin just like started to fall down my finger, and she almost threw up, and like couldn't help me at all. I had to drive myself back home and then to the doctor because it was so bad. But I was like, hey, lady, you know, if this grosses you out to that point, you probably shouldn't be going in that field, or at least you gotta, you know, get a tougher stomach. But that was a fun experience years ago. Got us with the circle game with that X-ray. All right, let's. Yeah. Yep. Now I get to punch you. Okay, and so this is my hand. It's sitting like this, or like, you know, that. But you can still see the break right here. I don't know if it's all the way through. I don't think it completely separated my bones. So, not sure. But it doesn't look good, right? I wonder what the doctor, the orthopedic surgeon, is going to say. And I don't know what it's going to need. But I do know that I did not have any grip strength after all this. Because I went to go grab something and I realized, like, I can't actually grip. Something is wrong. Pretty darn good with your left hand shooting, though. You'll be ambidextrous soon. It's hard to break the habit of using that hand. Yeah, you know, it turns out that it's when you know the shooting techniques, and I'm not saying that I'm like an expert shooter or anything, but I've put thousands of rounds through my pistols, trying to get good at, you know, shooting. And one of the guys who trained me was my ex-wife's dad, and he was the command sergeant major of the Green Berets, and he had trained thousands of people, and he had like pulled me aside, and we spent hours and hours and hours going over the proper way to pull, the proper way to, you know, how, and he used to teach me that you know, you need to learn how to shoot with both hands in case one gets incapacitated. So I'm sure that we did that years ago, but yeah, so learning how to do it, or now that I know how to shoot already, it's just the physical act of doing it that's a little difficult. I tried doing some rapid fire shots, and they weren't as, like, handling the recoil with your left hand is so different. But the mental technique in how you are supposed to pull the trigger, what you're supposed to be looking at, how to line it up, the best way to hold it for recoil. To minimize recoil, to maximize accuracy. It's always, you know, one hand you have you flag your thumb out, and since I'm right eye dominant, I tilt it a little bit. Kind of looks like you're shooting like a gangster, but not quite. But it's you know, I posted a little video on my X page about it, but yeah, it's not not as bad as it's not as hard as I thought it was going to be, but the physical act of drawing and making sure that I hold the weapon properly is the hardest part because it's uncomfortable to get used to. But luckily I have a range really close to me that I can utilize. I live out in the boonies, so one of my neighbors has a nice little range where it's up to it's only up to like 70 yards, but with a pistol, I think the average engagement is like 7 yards. So chances are I don't need to be shooting at 25, 30 yards, training left-handed with a pistol. If I just get good at 5 to 10 yards consistently being able to draw and shoot, I think that'll be enough, at least temporarily. But I had to be able to figure out how to draw and make sure that I could do it in a reasonable frame. And I'm sure you guys know that in a panic situation or a high stress situation, you revert to your lowest level of training. So if you don't train very much, and you know that you have inconsistencies in how you draw or how you hold it, or if you're shooting wrong, just understand that your lowest level of training is generally what you revert to. So that's why it's not good to just draw and then shoot one shot and then put your weapon back, or when you're done shooting to just put your weapon back right away, because it's a muscle memory thing, and it's what your brain will revert to. So if you're in a high stress situation and you pull out your weapon and you don't normally train to keep your weapon on target or fire multiple times, then you're not going to be able to do that with any kind of consistent accuracy. So it's good. Like I put 5 rounds in each magazine. That way you shoot, and then hold on target, and then you can reload, which I do need some help figuring out how to reload one-handed. I don't know how people do that. I ended up just like switching hands and holding it as I pull it out, and then I jam it in. But racking the slide on your belt loop is not very hard, so that's cool. I thought it was going to be a little bit more difficult. I've done it with my right hand, but left-handed I was a little worried. With that baggy sweater I had on, though, it did keep like snagging my sweater, and it led to one time where I failed to re-rack it properly. So yeah, exactly. Amazing how many people empty the weapon then holster it. Yeah, it's not good. That's not good practice. How's my tomahawk game? Hey, we're back. All right, cool. Holy crap! I lost power. Um, it just flickered, but yeah, I'm back. We'll see if okay, good. All the streams are still going. That's good news. My Tomahawk game left-handed is crap, so I gotta turn these down a little bit. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I mean, out where I live, we lose power constantly, like all the time. Um, that's why I have a generator and everything hooked up. But yeah, it seems it just shut off for a minute. So if I disappear again, that's probably what it's gonna be. Sorry about the delay there, but back up and running like nothing ever happened. Nice and easy. Oh, let's see. Whew. Okay. Yeah, made it back. Whoop, whoop. Okay. All right, what were we talking about? 100 more views. Yeah. Well, maybe I should just do that more often. Just disappear randomly and then Gibson Go total is looking encouraging. Glad to see that, brother. I haven't even checked it, but uh, maybe I can now. I don't even know where to look for it. I mean, I really do appreciate you guys helping me out because this is holy crap, $7,500. Thank you guys. Oh my gosh, that yeah, that's definitely gonna help. Having a couple. I'm hoping it's not going to be a couple months. I'm hoping it's just going to be like a month and a half before I can get back to work. And wow, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Um, yeah, I already surpassed the goal. I mean, it was set up. The Gibson Go was set up by a follower. I know I had a bunch of people encouraging me to set one up, but I do have a hard time asking for money, but I really appreciate you guys helping out and sharing the gifts and go and everything. That makes a big difference for my family and I, and yeah, you guys it'll be life changing, that's for sure. And hopefully in these next couple of weeks I can put out some good content and make some good videos for you guys, and be it informative or just covering over the news. I don't really know if I should cover the news as much. Like a format set up like Tim Pool does, but I will be covering current events and things of that nature. So, it might not be a bad idea to go back on Tim Pool's show. I'm actually starting up with this new group, this new Native American group that is kind of like NAGA, the Native Americans Guardians Association, but it's going to be a little bit different. Still going to be a 501c3. So that'll be pretty fun, and it's preserving Native American imagery and things of that nature. So that'll actually be pretty fun to start up again. So yeah, I'll do my best to be me and not try and emulate any other kind of streamer. But I know that people do this for a living. I couldn't imagine sitting in my chair all day, because for as long as I can remember, every day I've been outside. Apart from like middle school and high school. But other than that, every spring break and winter break, my stepdad owned his own construction company. And so the way that I helped out was to be the grunt man, during that time, during winter breaks and spring breaks and everything like that. So I'd go out and work with him, even in the freezing winter. I remember being like 11 years old and having to go warm up in the truck because we were doing a skirting on a manufactured home. And it was snowing out, and I mean, all the tools are metal, obviously, and so you're holding these freezing cold tools, and my little 12 or 13-year-old body, I was just sitting there, and I was like, I can't feel my hands. And he's like, well, go warm up in the truck. So I'd go warm up in the truck for a little bit, and then run back outside and help, put the skirting back on. And I mean, I'm just used to it, I'm used to being outside all day, every day. So it's going to be a little bit of a transition here, starting to stream more often, and being inside. Maybe I'll take the stream outside every once in a while, just because I don't think I could be inside all day every day. Like who's that? Asmongold, right? I know Asmongold is one of the biggest streamers out there, and he is just like inside all day, every day, sleeps in till, stays up till 4 or 5 in the morning. And, but the way his platform works is like, I don't know, people just go to him and he just like goes over the news and I don't know, just one of those things. One of those things I don't really understand. I enjoy working outside and doing physical things, but hey, why it's so I can see the updates in the comments down here. See, I've always wanted to run a channel that has regular everyday people on the opposite political spectrum sit down and talk to help bring down the political divide. The problem with that is like my family doesn't even talk about politics to me. Who the left leaning family members, they don't even talk to me about this stuff. They've deemed me like a know-it-all, and even though like since I always tend to have an answer or at least a rebuttal of some kind, and maybe I ask them questions about how they came to that conclusion, they stop talking to me about politics because they don't like to go that deep into it. So it's very, very difficult to get left-leaning people to sit down and talk. It just is. So I feel like I'm orange right now, and I'm not sure why. All the lighting changed. Let's tone it down a little bit. So I'd start talking about sports and regular stuff to build rapport first. Hey, speaking of sports ball, I hear the Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl. The Seahawks are, my home team. I used to watch them regularly, but I don't anymore. I haven't really watched a game in several years. But as far as sports ball goes, I know that they're going to the Super Bowl, so that's cool, I guess. But we will be in Idaho the week of the Super Bowl because my wife and I were going to the Old State Saloon for their X party. They're throwing a party for 100,000 followers and or a celebration of some sort. And Mark down at the Old State Saloon, great guy. I want to support him as much. I know he's running for offices here too, so. Did we ever get the conspiracy theory episode with Tom? You know what? I'll text Tom right now, and I'll see when he's available next, because we did get a conspiracy theory episode with him, but not the next one. So let's see. I'll text him on. All right. Sorry for the dead air zone or air time. Sounds like a lot more fun than watching a game anyway. I know, Tom, he's a brilliant guy. He's a lot of fun. I'm a little bit slower at this with my left hand. All right, I sent out the text, so we'll see next time he's available to come on, because we've been wanting to have him back on for a while, and I am going to go live tonight with PNW Gorilla again. I don't think Steve's going to make it tonight because he's got other obligations, but it is what it is. So it's going to be PNW Gorilla and I tonight, kind of going over the news and all the crazy stuff that's been happening in Minnesota. Even though. Okay, realistically, guys, all over the country for as long as I've been alive, ICE operations have been happening. And now all of a sudden, all these things are happening in Minnesota. It just so happens to be where all the corruption was. It just so happens to be where all the politicians are that are working with these George Soros groups. And, that's where all the controversy is. And that's where ICE is, being fascistic. So it is kind of funny to watch and see. But they are getting really serious. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw James O'Keefe and the threats that he was getting. But this is a manufactured crisis, and I can prove it to you. Because here we have Bill Clinton. Over the course of a lifetime, we face only a few moments where the decisions we make and the actions we take will shape our history for years to come. This is one of them. So he put out this statement. Of course, he blocked comments, because you can't have comments, right, on a stupid statement like this. And I seem to remember a time where there was a bit of government overreach while Bill Clinton was overseeing, maybe Waco. Maybe this was worse than the ICE operations that are happening. And this is why I know it's manufactured. This is why I know that it's complete bogus, because every president in the past has done this. Every single president. I mean, they used to. Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Obama, George Bush, they all deported people, and they all talked about, if you're a criminal and you're an illegal, then you're going to get deported. End of story. Yeah, Ruby Ridge. Yeah, that too. And I mean, somehow there are people just eating this propaganda up and believing that that this is all of a sudden new and that this is actually a fascist regime. And it's like, no. The only reason, I mean, there's operations happening all around the country right now, but for some reason, all the incidents or all the fascism is taking place in Minnesota. That's because these useful idiots are opposing it, and they're fighting them. Fascism is the only way to combat communism. Actually, you're not necessarily wrong. There needs to be a stern hand to put an end to this, because this is it's gotten out of control. It's definitely gotten out of control. Let's see. Oh, this was fun. My understanding is that a light bulb went off for Waltz. They're trying to cover up their corruption. That's pretty much it. And then they're trying to virtue signal. And I mean, they've been... Okay, do you guys remember that video of what is his name? Jamie Rasmussen? But he was talking about how they were going to oppose Trump getting elected. And, I mean, the Democrats have just been conspiring to find a way to paint Trump in the worst light picture as a fascist so they can oppose him. Hang on a second. Excuse me, I'm in my pajamas. Don't mind me. Oh. Yeah, here's my son. He's awesome. His name's Raylan.
It's Raylan and Dada.
It's Raylan and Dada.
How nice is someone? Oh, it's right. This one? Two.
Yep,
2 lights.
that's right.
2 lamps.
2 lights.
2 lamps. 1, 2. 2 lamps.
Yeah.
Nice, Dada.
They say hi, Raylan.
Hi, Dada. Hi,
I'd say the coolest thing about not having to go to work is hanging out with this guy all day, and my wife, of course. But I'd say one of the coolest things is just being able to
Oh, what's it?
to see this guy. This is one of the best feelings ever. If you're, I'm sure a lot of you guys are parents, but this is I don't even know what he's doing with this. It's a little Game Boy, but he's just hitting letters over and over again. So, yeah, this is my mini-me. His name's Raylan, and he used to have a mullet, but we trimmed it, and now his hair is just a big mess, huh, buddy? Let's set this down for now.
Sit down.
Here, go run and play.
Boy, play.
Go run and play. Here. Let's go.
Thanks.
Oh, you want to see? You want to sit here with me while we go over the news? All right. Well, I don't know if you guys saw this. I thought this was pretty funny, but the big snowstorm coming in, or that most of the country's been experiencing. LMPD, which seems like a pretty funny account, they said if you crash tonight doing donuts in a parking lot, that's between you and Jesus. We're tired. I said, how else are you going to learn how to drive in the snow? Because that's how I learned how to drive in the snow. Well, that was one of the ways. Is you just easy with that. Is you just go experiment in a parking lot. And I captured this for my old work. So I used to drive a Dodge Neon. It was a lot of fun. And so I captured this from my old work one morning when I went to go park. And I almost had the perfect. I mean, if I just had just a little bit more momentum on the spin, I could have nailed it. I was so close, but it just stopped right there. So close. But yeah, you need to learn how to drive in the snow and how your car reacts to ice and what you're going to do if that happens. So I think that allowing people to drive in a parking lot when it's nice and snowy is actually really important. So if you are one of those people learning how to drive in the snow, especially because Texas and all the southern states, like, you guys almost never get snow. So yeah, we had fields on the farm to learn things. It was shocking to me to realize so many don't learn to drive in it and have a permit, and they learn on roads. Been driving for years by then. Yeah, I mean, the first week that I got my driver's license, it had snowed a bunch, and I remember just being like, hey, I'm going to go out, learn how to drive. I had a Chevy S10, 4-wheel drive at the time, and I just went out for hours and hours and hours, and I only went in one ditch.
I love it already.
But, I slid into it lightly and was able to drive out because I had 4-wheel drive, so it was pretty easy. But, there's the best way to learn how to do it is just to go do it. So very, very, very important. Especially when you can minimize the negative side effects. If you're in a parking lot, if you spin out, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You spin out, or you hit a telephone, or you hit a telephone pole. Don't do that. Avoid those. Okay, go play. Come on. Yeah, see you later. He's gonna go have fun. Well, I mostly wanted to come on and give you guys an update. I guess I will be, if there's any specific content you guys want to see, just go ahead and let me know, and I can kind of go over that and try and make some quality videos for you. Even though I'm going to be a little bit slower at editing. So, but I will be on tonight, like I said, with PNW Grill at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we'll be going over a lot of what's been happening over the weekend with the ICE agents, and for some reason with Trump just allowing these things to take place over and over and over and over and over again, because yeah, I'll get better soon. Thank you so much. I will get better soon. I on Thursday I'm gonna go see the orthopedic surgeon, see if I'll need surgery on it. Hopefully I don't. Hopefully they just say, give it time, it'll heal, and then you'll be good. But I think like you guys can't see it because it's hidden right now, but my knuckle was like not missing. It looked like a boxer's fracture with how it happened, right? It looks like I punched something wrong, but my knuckle was like almost hidden because it had shifted back so far. So I might need surgery. I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm gonna keep on keeping on, you guys. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing that Give, Set, and Go. I really, really appreciate it. It is definitely going to help. You guys are all awesome. And I will see you tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Medical leave. See, okay. Before I leave, I do want to explain this because I made a post that I said I essentially lost my job. Now, I didn't get fired, right? But there's no position available for me at the shop to transfer to because we already have enough administrative people. We already have enough management. We already have enough warehouse guys. Like, we're almost overstaffed in the shop as it is. And so since I can't actually physically change tires, there's no way for me to be beneficial to the company at all. So I'm basically just off of the schedule until I can work again. So I'm not fired, but I also can't work. So I don't know how else to say, like, you know, I essentially lost my job. So I can't work until I can physically change tires again, which is unfortunate. You know, usually there's a spot that you can kind of, like, I could train a new guy or whatever it is, but we're in the slow time of year, so they can't afford to pay two guys to do the job of one. But I don't know. That's the problem, is like they can't afford to pay me because I make top wage. I make top wage for my position, and they wouldn't be able to pay me my top wage just to train somebody. Which is, you know, I've been the number one employee for the past couple months. As far as labor dollars go. Well, actually, I think I was second under one of the OTR guys. But as far as like per hour, you know, I do pretty good because I try to get a lot done in a little bit of time. And it just sucks knowing, I guess, just how replaceable you are. You know, I mean, one of the first things they're like, oh, well, we got to come get the truck. I'm like, yeah, you do. And I guess I'll just, you know, it's on me to figure it out. That's the ultimate responsibility. It's my responsibility to take care of my family regardless of what happens. So even if I break my hand, there still has to be a way that I can make money. So what I'm going to do is try to make more content for you guys. Since I have started down this journey before, and I'm not just going to be jumping into it blind, I already know a lot of what to do. So I can kind of focus on this a little bit more and go from there. So thank you guys. I really appreciate it. God bless. Take care. We'll see you tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with me and P&W Gorilla. Take care, you guys. God, do a Prel commercial. What's a Prel? Is that like a hair commercial? I don't know what Prel is, but we'll see you guys tonight. Take care. God bless. Peace. Shampoo, of course.
Dusty plains and broken dreams, cowboys and Indians on the same team. We got no masters, only our creed to break the chains and set us free. Riders on the prairie, wild and free, bows and arrows, cold 45's decree. No more tyranny, no more lies. Under open skies we rise. Fight, fight, fight till we reclaim the night. Cowboys and Indians in the blazing light. Fight, fight, fight till the dawn is near. We'll never live in fear. one night.